in Miami. It's been a great week for the Marlins. 3 straight wins over the mighty Pirates and a walk-off shower to cap it. But here comes the weekend, and here comes Thor. Noah Syndergaard leads the Mets into Miami with the Fish 1 game behind the National League champs. New York native Tom Kohler gets the game tonight. A 3-gamer begins in Miami. Marlins and Mets. Welcome to the weekend. Welcome to Marlins and Mets. The Fish, a season-high 4 over. The Mets just a game in front. Roof closed, window shut, AC on. Grandy man here. Standings in the National League East. Nationals, Mets, Marlins a game back. The Phillies have fallen 7 back as the mighty Thor goes up against Tom Kohler. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Miami. Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. The Marlins seem to be a team that play better against good competition. And they've got that certainly here for these 3 ball games. The Fish have momentum. How much of that carries over against Noah Syndergaard? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, Noah Syndergaard is one of the most dynamic pitchers in the league. Electrifying fastball, great off-speed stuff, and he has the temperament to go along with it. The Marlins are going to have a battle, but I think they're up to it. They have been doing that all year. One
of the heroes in the 3-game run with the Marlins winning over the Pirates is a Danny Echeverria. That bat is starting to perk up. He had some big hits in the series.
Well, I think he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable each at bat. This inconsistency is still there with his timing, but you're starting to see the confidence grow. Remember, this kid hit 280 in his first 2 years in the big leagues. So the approach is there, the talent is there, it's just got to come out.
And of course, Echeverria and the Marlins had to work extra last night, extra innings, a 12-inning win over the Pirates. Mets were off yesterday. They had a 13-inning loss the day before. Noah Syndergaard is back on the hill. When last we saw Syndergaard, he was an inning in relief. That's after getting ejected, throwing behind Chase Utley. But this guy is the real deal. Look at these numbers over his last 4 starts.
Well, he has a few things working for him. Number 1, he has tremendous talent. Number 2, he doesn't believe anybody he faces is better than him. Everyone that steps in that box, he thinks that he can outwork them, outpitch them, and it's just flat out beat them.
Yeah, well, and he's got that 100-mile-an-hour fastball to boot. Tom Kohler beat the Braves. He'll try to build on that. And he's working with Jeff Mathis tonight as well. So it's the Fish and the Mets. A weekend series starts in Miami. How about Nick Wittgren last night? 3 perfect innings and his first Major League win. In extras against the Pirates. We'll explain next. of Miami Marlins baseball. In Miami tonight, the Mets are here. It's a 3-gamer. Little jump in the joint tonight as Tom Kohler, New York native, gets set to work against the Mets. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Rich. Nick Whitgren called up about a week ago for his 3rd stint with the Marlins. Had a performance last night that may have him sticking around for a while. He was outstanding. Jeff, he got his first major league win.
He was outstanding. Don Mattingly, manager, said we're going to stay away from David Phelps and A.J. Ramos. So they were unavailable coming into the late innings of this game. Tie ball game in the 9th inning. Nick Whitgren comes in. What does he do? 3 scoreless and keeps the score right there while the Marlins come up with a walk-off win courtesy of Christian Yelich. Outstanding job.
AAA hitters were hitting 143 against him. How can his stock rise with the coaching staff?
Well, just like that, you come into situations where you know your best at that time are unavailable. He comes in and does the job. You see his numbers in the minor leagues are extremely good. 41 walks in 230 innings. You got to throw strikes up here in the big leagues just like you do in the minor leagues.
Ball game coming up. It's game 1 of this 3-game series on a Friday night. A big NL East showdown between the 3rd place Marlins and the 2nd place Mets, but it's close. Syndergaard, Kohler's your matchup next on Fox Sports Florida.
Baseball, Fox Sports Florida, brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By the Florida Department of Transportation, reminding you, drive sober or get pulled over. By your local Toyota dealers, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Early summer night in Miami. Derek Dietrich is back. Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup as well. Mets and Marlins ready to go. First of 3. The Mets hit a lot of homers. UHealth Sports Medicine brings you their starting lineup.
Here's this National League home run leading Mets. Curtis Granderson leading off as Drugo. Cabrera is second. Yoenis Cespedes is third. Neil Walker's batting fourth. Michael Conforto is fifth. Wilmer Flores is sixth. James Loney back up in the big leagues is hitting seventh. Rene Rivera is eighth. Noah Syndergaard is occupying the 9th spot.
Curtis Granderson has contributed to those home run totals. He's popped 9 of them already. Tom Kohler, coming off a win in Atlanta, was outstanding in terms of keeping the ball off the barrel of the bat, 12 ground ball outs. He worked 7 innings, gave up just 3 hits, 2 earned runs. And so Kohler gets Curtis Granderson, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Yoenis Cespedes. Mets with an off day yesterday after a 13-inning loss to the White Sox. They dropped 2 in a row to finish off that series. Granderson, whose power numbers have been revived over the last 2 seasons, and takes a fastball for a strike. And this ball game is underway. Marlins and Mets met 3 times up in New York early in April. Looked like a pretty good pitch, and the count is a ball and a strike. It did catch the plate, had enough of the corner certainly to be called a strike. Clint Fagan behind home plate, Greg Gibson, Mike Estabrook, Dana Demuth. There's that big breaking ball, which was such a key for Kohler in Atlanta. To center, Ozuna in and there, and he makes the catch. 1 out. Miami defensively tonight. Nice night last night, especially with Ichiro in center. Southwest Airlines brings you the defense. Christian Yelich left. Ozuna had the night off last night. Giancarlo Stanton, nice to see him back in right. Justin Bour, Martin Prado on the corners. Ed Chavarria and Derek Dietrich up the middle. Jeff Mathis caught Kohler in that Atlanta start. And with extra innings last night, an opportunity for Don Mattingly to reunite the two here in the opener of this series. As Asdrubal Cabrera takes a breaking ball for a strike. He's been hot. Cabrera has. He's got hits in 11 of his last 13 ball games. His average trending upwards. Even he's popped 4 homers.
Well, they rely on the long ball. It's kind of like old Earl Weaver style baseball. Pitching, defense, and a 3-run homer. That's what they rely on.
Yeah, great starting pitching especially. To right, towards the corner. Long run for Stanton, and it's a foul ball. Giancarlo was actually in right center field. It's a long strike. It's 1-2. With some of the bats and the pedigree that Terry Collins has in the lineup, you would think the Mets would be a little better at manufacturing runs. When you look at Granderson, Cabrera, Cespedes, Walker, even Conforto, who had the great rookie year last year. 1-2. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fish took 2 of 3 in New York. Don Mattingly and the Marlins taking 3 of 4 from a very good Pittsburgh team. We'll see how they fare here this weekend against the Mets. Outside corner with a fastball. Cabrera stood there and looked back at Clint Fagan. And there's 2 outs.
Well, Kohler's a guy who I've always said his success largely depends on his fastball command. We saw him throw a couple good fastballs to Granderson early, some good fastballs there to Cabrera. If he has this command the rest of the night, it could be a long night for these New York Mets hitters. And that pitch was a strike. It's right there on the corner.
Plenty of the corner. Now Cespedes, and he is mired in a 1-for-23 skid, in which he has struck out 10 times. See, it happens to the best of hitters. Giancarlo Stanton has gone through it. Cespedes is living through it right now. Fastball in, and it's 1-0.
Well, it especially happens to your bigger power hitters because there's more moving parts. You got the long arms, there's longer swings involved. It takes a little bit more work to tighten it up.
Right. Ball and a strike. And Kohler misses away. Kohler, a New York native, New Rochelle, New York. Stony Brook. Was actually born in the Bronx. And this is start number 15 against the Mets. He did not see them up in New York to start this year, but to end last year, he beat the Mets 9-3 on the 15th of September. Cespedes hammers one to left. One hop off the wall, and he's got himself a 2-out double.
Looks like another slider here, maybe. Yeah, it's a slider that just cement mixer sits right there. Supposed to be outside, ball ends up right down the middle, and when you hit in the middle lineup and they hang you that slider, you're not going to miss it most of the time. That's big leaguers only hit that pitch. That's a strong man. The ball jumped off his bat.
Without question, I'm sure there were a few parties out in Queens when the Mets re-signed him in the offseason. Now Neil Walker, and what an addition he's been. Marlins just saw the man that he was traded for in Jonathan Neese. Walker coming over, filling the shoes of Daniel Murphy, who, by the way, edged out Marcell Ozuna as the player of the month in the National League. But the Mets certainly have gotten more out of Walker than they expected. A .345 on base, .522 slug right now for Walker, and 13 homers.
I think that's the most eye-popping number. You know that Walker can hit. He's been a good player in the league for a few years now, but have 13 homers this early in the year for him, second baseman, that's big time.
Breaking ball is in. I spoke with Terry Collins before the ball game tonight. He was talking about Walker and said when they acquired him, they knew that they had a solid ball player. Did not know if his power or pop would translate to Citi Fields, and Terry Collins said, man, it has completely translated.
Well, I think it's people don't realize how big Pirates ballpark is. PNC Park is a really big park, especially left center. I'm looking at Kohler now. He's starting to fall in love a little bit too much with the breaking ball this early in the game for my liking. A lot of sliders, even a 3-1 slider to Cespedes. 2 sliders and then a curveball right there in a row. So last 3 pitches were breaking balls to Walker. When you throw low 90s, mid 90s, he can hit 95 occasionally. You still have to have faith in that fastball. You still have to use it.
There's the slider, and he gets a strike with it. Now it's 3-2. Remember, in a similar spot, he used the fastball to dot that outside part and strike out Cabrera.
You know, he and Mathis had a good thing going last time, so maybe Mathis has a feel for what's working for him right now and is trying to keep him on that to get through, make the innings a little bit more efficient.
3-2 breaking ball fouled off the foot of Walker. Coors Light cold hard fact: second baseman homer since 2010. Everybody knows about Robinson Cano, don't you know? Dan Uggla, 114. Ian Kinsler, and there's Neil Walker's name. Kelly Johnson's name is a surprise on that list too, since 2010. Cespedes at second. This game just underway. Well, he's throwing some good breaking balls. At times, Tom has better command of the breaking stuff than the fastball.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier, a lot of his success depends on the command that he has with his fastball, because then if he doesn't have that command, he's forced to pitch with his breaking ball. And most pitchers don't like to pitch with their breaking ball. They like their breaking ball to be out pitches or chase pitches. They don't want to pitch with it for strikes and to try to locate it.
Center field, Ozuna back. Lots of room out there, and he's got it. And Kohler leaves Cespedes at second. Marlins get their first look of the night at Noah Syndergaard. Tricks back in there. Just underway and scoreless. Miami's lineup as penned by Don Mattingly. It's brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
Ladies and gentlemen, here come your fish. Derek Dietrich leading off, Martin Prado second. Christian Yelich is in the 3 hole. The middle of the order, Ozuna, Stanton, Bohr. The bottom 3, Adeiny Echeverria. Jeff Mathis is catching today, and TK is holding down the 9 hole.
Noah Syndergaard is putting up some gaudy numbers. Just peruse those and realize that Syndergaard is third in the majors with a 1.84 ERA, sixth with 81 strikeouts. Dietrich goes after the first pitch, hits it high in the air to left. Michael Conforto's out there tonight. He makes the catch. One pitch, one out. Mets defensively, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Conforto, Cespedes, and Granderson in the outfield. Wilmer Flores in for David Wright. James Loney just picked up. Loney's at first base. Neil Walker has Asdrubal Cabrera up the middle. And Rene Rivera, a very good defensive catcher, along for the ride with Syndergaard. And there's Loney, who was in AAA. The Mets were able to grab him. Some big injuries for the Mets, big shoes to fill. Lucas Duda, stress fracture in his back, he's out. Travis d'Arnaud, shoulder injury behind the plate, he's out. As Prado hits it in the air down the right field line, foul. And just announced in the last day, David Wright with a herniated disc in his neck. The reports are 6 to 8 weeks, but it sounds like no baseball activity for 6 to 8 weeks, which would mean Wright will be longer before he gets back on the field. 97 from Syndergaard. That's 0-2.
What we're seeing right now, Rich, is a lot of Marlins so far, both that have come to the plate, have swung early. They want to hit that fastball because they don't want to get to that 90 miles an hour slider that Syndergaard has, that curveball that he has. So you want to attack that heater.
Well, the slider's got heat on it as well.
Well, that's it. That's that 90 miles an hour slider. You know, very few guys in the league can throw a slider with that velocity, but he's one of them.
strikeout. That's 99 on the outside part. So 2 quick outs for Syndergaard here.
This is not only a high velocity, it's great location. That's a tip of your cap right there. You go back to look at that 4-seam action. Ball stays true right on the edge of the plate. And that is some fur, some hair coming off that ball over there.
Now Yelich. I asked Christian Yelich what makes Noah Syndergaard so good, and he looked at me and said, dude, throws 100 miles an hour. The slider comes in at 93. Try hitting that. As you pointed out, Preston, it's the command of that stuff that really sets this guy apart. He's only 23, out of Mansfield, Texas. Marlins have seen him but once. Yelich up the middle. And Cabrera across the diamond in time. 1-2-3 for Noah Syndergaard. This weekend series underway and scoreless.
Por West Kendall Toyota.
And hello to you too, Mark Anthony, who is here for batting practice. Now lives down here in Miami. Was on the back of the cage talking hitting with Barry Bonds for a while. Michael Conforto, Wilmer Flores, and James Loney. I suspect the crowd is still arriving because traffic around Miami, from what we've been told, is snarled right now. President Obama is in town, so I-95 was a little slow coming in. Bouncer, etch, backhands, plants, and throws. And Conforto is out number 1. It's a 3-game series for the Fish and the Mets, and tomorrow on an All-Star Saturday, Mike Lowell bobbleheads. First 10,000 fans get a Mike Lowell bobblehead. Now, Mike Lowell will join us in the booth tomorrow. How about that? It's courtesy of Leon Medical Centers. You can get tickets and get one of those bobbleheads. Go to marlins.com. Fastball is up. Wilmer Flores, who's appeared in 23 games. And the Mets are going to have to do what they did last year, Preston, and that is fill the void left by a David Wright injury. The Mets actually did quite nicely in that tricky spot last year. Terry Collins, who certainly deserves an awful lot of credit for the year last year, the Mets' success. his first taste of the postseason. And he got them right to the World Series.
If you're the Marlins, somewhere in the back of your mind has to say, this is an opportunity. The Nationals, you've played fairly well against them this year. The Phillies are coming back down to earth. The Mets have two of their biggest sluggers hurt and out of their lineup. This is an opportunity to make some ground up in the NL East when you're going to play them.
To right down the line. The other side of that coin is this. Talking to Gary Cohen, television voice of the Mets, we were trading information on both teams, and he said incredibly impressed he was that the Marlins sit where they are without D. Gordon, Stanton being ineffective at the plate for the last 3 weeks, and Yelich being out for a week with an injury. So everybody has those injuries, but you're right, losing Lucas Duda and David Wright. See how that goes for the Mets.
Well, I think I was looking at it in that same way, saying now that the Marlins lineup is more complete, they have a chance to make a move as a healthier ball club.
That's a good point. That one popped back and out of play. Of course, Wilmer Flores had a nice supporting role in the story of the Mets in 2015.
Did you see the Chipper Jones bobblehead where it had him riding the guy out? It was Freddie Freeman out on a four-wheeler when he rescued him.
I know where you're going with this. The 3-2. And no, I don't think the Mets have a crying Wilmer Flores bobblehead day scheduled. But I like your creativity and I like your thinking, kid.
Oh, Rich, we're starting to spend too much time together. You're in my head now. So we are.
Good pitch there by Kohler. He's got a pair of strikeouts. And here comes James Loney. Well, with Duda and his back injury, the Mets needed an answer at first. And they were able to find Loney, who was just waiting for someone to find him. He was hitting .342 with a .373 on base in El Paso. That's San Diego's AAA affiliate. And Loney takes down low. Always known for a incredible glove at first base, and Terry Collins knows him quite well. Collins was with the Dodgers organization when Loney was an 18-year-old and was drafted. In the air, Etch and Prado giving chase. It is Prado who makes the catch, and Tom Kohler a neat and clean second inning. Scoreless ball game.
Bottom of the second inning. You know the Marlins have had a good season hitting-wise at .269. They're third in the National League. But tonight, through the 1/3 part of the season, they have done something that they have never done before, and that is have 3 of the top 10 hitters in the National League, led by Marcell Ozuna. You see Daniel Murphy leading the way at .394, but Ozuna, Yelich, and Prado are all in the top 10, and the Marlins have never had that happen through 54 games. Now, there is a caveat. They have had it happen later. In 2005, through 122 games, Cabrera, LaDuca, and Castillo are all in the top 10. But at this point, at least, only amount they've had is 2 in the top 10. That was Cabrera and Hanley back in 2007, guys. So when teams look at this Marlin lineup, they see, boy, there's a lot of good hitting up and down the lineup, and that's without Ichiro in the lineup in tonight's game.
All right, thank you, Craig. And you've got Ozuna, Stanton, and Bohr lined up against Noah Syndergaard. 1-1 to Ozuna. We talk about hitters getting prepared and getting started early, and that's, as we've documented, you can always take a peek at that front foot, getting it down on time. You really have to be aware of that. I would expect tonight against Syndergaard. Hi.
Yeah, and also not just getting it down, but when you get it down, make sure you're not still moving forward, because some guys get it down early, but they're still drifting forward, so they're beating their swing up. Their body gets in the way of their hands. Ozuna's done a really good job lately of getting that foot down, but not getting his body in the way of his swing.
That's a rocket foul. Counts 2-2.
You want to see that foot getting down for Ozuna. He does a really good job at it. His body's nice and quiet now. See how his body stays back? It doesn't really start going forward much until the bat starts. That's your weight transfer. That generates that power. That's why he's hitting so well right now.
See what he gets. 2-2. Rivera sets up in. Fastball cracked to left and deep and gone. And it's 1-0 Miami. Foot down, bat out. His 11th of the season.
Big-time power from Ozuna. Noah Syndergaard challenged him with an 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and it left the bat faster than it came in. We said he's steady. We said the approach is good. You can't hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball without being solid, and Ozuna shows it right there.
Here is Stanton now. He takes a rip at a fastball and fouls it back. A rocket to left. It went right into the Clevelander. Fastball into Stanton, and it's 1-1. Giancarlo last night, a double and 2 walks on a 1-for-3 night. That's a strike. Stanton started and then checked.
Sorry, that's actually a good take, though. That ball looked in. That's why I was saying. I was getting ready to say it looked like a good take. Before it came up, it looked like a good take, because that's not a pitch he wants to swing at anyway.
See if it's slider away. And it was in the dirt. Syndergaard's strikeout numbers impressive. His strikeout rate second best in baseball. Only Jose Fernandez is better.
When you're Stanton, you just have to stay stubborn. Even though that ball is called a strike, stay with what you're doing. Don't let them frustrate you with bad calls.
That's fastball, fly ball, right. And Granderson is there, and he makes the catch.
That's how you're going to work yourself back. Not give in. Don't let the umpire change your approach. But let's take a scouting look at Noah Syndergaard.
It's brought to you by Auto Nation. Jersey Shore. He's got a case. His parents have kept all those jerseys from Little League on up.
And lots of glove. He names all of his gloves. I wish I did that when I played. And he's a student of the game. He's always trying to learn, trying to get better.
Facing Bohr now. Fastball tails away. Bohr enters the ball game at 243, 317 on base, 473 slugging percentage. No swing on the slider. Now the Mets against Bohr are almost straight up in the infield compared to what we've seen, the radical shifts against the lefty bat. Now you can see Neil Walker backing up into right. Bohr left center field. That ball's hit. Back goes Cespedes. He won't get it. Off the wall it goes. And the big man rumbles into second with a double. That ball was kissed.
Well, the Marlins are stepping up to the plate like they got a 7:35 tee time. Good Lord. There's some violence going on at the plate. This ball is absolutely crushed in the gap. On a line, frozen rope, off the scoreboard in left center. They came out to hit the fastball, Rich. That game plan seems to be pretty solid right now.
And that was off the scoreboard out there. That was up the wall a good deal. 8 doubles now for Bohr. And a runner in scoring position here is Echeverria. Well, the Marlins have accomplished something that opponents have been unable to accomplish over Syndergaard's last 3 starts. And that is score a run. He had 2 7-inning ball games. There's a chopper towards first. Loney flips, it's dropped. Syndergaard dropped it. And Echeverria is safe. Bohr's at third.
This ball is chopped. Loney does a good job getting it to him. Syndergaard just didn't look it in. That's all there is to it. He didn't look it in. See, he was already on the bag, and then he turned his head right before the ball went into the glove. But on Echeverria's part, he got lucky just now because he slowed down before he got to the bag. Kids always run through the bag. You never know what can happen. Even though it looks like an easy out, things like that can happen, and you would be so embarrassed, and your manager or coach will probably pull you out of the game if the pitcher is able to pick that ball up before you get there after you slow down.
Thought I saw that segment on Marlins Clubhouse earlier tonight with you.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We talk about all the fundamentals, all the right ways to play on Marlins Clubhouse. Rich, I'm glad you checked it out. I appreciate that.
All right, here's Jeff Mathis. Big at bat here with 1 out. Mathis fights off the fastball. Now Jeff Mathis trying to put the ball in play against one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball, with a runner 90 feet away at third and Echeverria over at first.
I spoke to Frank Menachino. I spoke to actually a couple of Mathis's teammates, and they're saying this guy may be hitting 167, but he's hit a lot of balls hard, and then when you mix in not getting to play very often, he's actually done a very good job for them. But the average person won't see that. You see the 167 average.
Fastball's out, and the importance of the at-bat is obviously Tom Kohler on deck. So this is a chance for Miami to squeeze another run out. Now they did squeeze bunt last night successfully for a run. That one popped off of Rivera, and it's 1-2.
This is just a hard guy to bunt off of. Syndergaard may be one of those guys that's harder to bunt off of than he is to swing the bat off of and maybe hit a ground ball somewhere. And I know he gets a ton of strikeouts, but it takes an incredibly courageous hitter to kind of stick your nose in there when you're bunting against a guy that throws 100 miles an hour.
So Syndergaard hunting a strikeout now. Mathis searching for contact. 1-2. Got him. 99 miles an hour with a fastball. Big strikeout for Syndergaard. Now he's got Kohler with 2 outs.
No question that this guy throws with incredible velocity. In the stadium here, that one registered at 99. It's hard. It's got a lot of life on it.
Kohler. Fastball is out. Dietrich's on deck. 1 for 17 this season. Justin Bohr at third base. See Dietrich on deck. Echeverria's at first. That's just not fair. I mean, you're Kohler, you're geared up for 99.
Every time I see it, I got to wonder if I got to just make a doctor's appointment, because I'm seeing a 92 miles an hour slider, Rich. That's not right. You're not supposed to see a slider at 92.
And he flips in another slider at 91.
Took a little off. 91. It's a good thing when you're sitting in that dugout and you're facing an A1 guy like Noah Syndergaard, and you feel like, guys, he's there to be hit. That doesn't happen that many times. The Marlins have taken some good swings on Syndergaard tonight.
Got him. Another slider. 3 sliders to strike out Tom Kohler. Miami's on the board. Marcell Ozuna. After a great month of May, a really nice start to June. Solo homer and a 1-0 lead. Sports app, highlights, interviews, injury updates, scores, and instant alerts for your favorite teams and rivals. Download now in the App Store, Google Play, or visit foxsports.com/app. Marcell Ozuna's 11th homer of the season. Just the 4th homer allowed by Noah Syndergaard this year. Has Miami on top 1-0. Yes, the Mets faithful, and as we expected with the president in and around downtown Miami, there are some late arriving fans. Tom Kohler has given up 1 hit, has a pair of strikeouts. He gets Rene Rivera, Syndergaard, and Curtis Granderson. On a Friday night in Major League Baseball, with a lot of series opening, stretch across this weekend. 1-day game today. The Cubs and the Diamondbacks. Marlins will be facing both of those teams here in the month of June. John Lackey shut out Arizona 6-0. Here is Rivera, known for his defense. Fouls that one back. Rivera was signed by the Mets as a free agent on April 5th. A former Ray. Mets AAA affiliate is still in Las Vegas, which is a great place to hit. And a great place to visit.
Did they still keep the name the 51s out there? Do you know?
Yes. I was their radio voice before they were the Area 51s. Back then they were the Las Vegas Stars.
Okay.
In the air and fouling out of play. Cashman Field in Las Vegas.
Had an opportunity to play there at the end of spring training one year when I was with Colorado, but we got rained out 3 straight days. A lot of guys lost a lot of meal money.
Yes.
On those days.
Run by one of the great men in minor league baseball, Don Logan. You're right. Back then it was a 5-game series. Teams would come into Las Vegas, and after the second day, they would A, have no sleep, and B, have no money. Those 3rd, 4th, and 5th games got a little sloppy. Here's the 2-2. That's strike 3 called. Kohler strikes out Rivera, who barks at Clint Fagan. Probably wants to make sure that his guy will get that call, and that is...
He's got a gripe. It's a little off, not by much. You know, I always hear guys say, well, it's on the black. Well, you know what? Technically, the black isn't part of the plate. The black is the border of the plate. The only part of the plate that's the plate is that white area. The black is the framing. That should not count as part of the plate.
All right, the operative word you said there is should.
Right. Because umpires for years have been saying it's on the black, it's a strike. No, it's not.
Syndergaard pulls that one. Foul. Noah Syndergaard can swing it. He's got a couple homers, and he's driven in 4. Fouls that one back. Well, the Mets rotation, if they stay healthy, they're so young and so talented, they will be good for a long time. Nice sequence by Kohler, elevated fastball. 4 strikeouts first time through for Tom Kohler, and he looks dialed in tonight. Curtis Granderson now. Other teams in the division that are playing tonight, the Phillies are home against Milwaukee. Phillies are 2 under and scoreless in the 3rd against the Brewers. The Nationals are in Cincinnati and trailing 4-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. One. Of course, the Nationals lead the division. The Mets 3 games back, the Marlins 4 games back. Right center, Ozuna and Stanton. And it's Ozuna who plants himself and makes the catch. Tom Kohler sharp tonight. And Miami's got a 1-0 lead. Our telecasts, and it's an honor, is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting U.S. Armed Forces serving around the world on land and on ships at sea. Welcome to the National League East. Welcome to Miami tonight. Commander-in-Chief is actually in town. President Obama visiting Miami. And so are the Mets. And one of the hardest throwers in the game, in fact, the hardest thrower statistically, is Noah Syndergaard. Derek Dietrich rips one to right, and it sinks for a base hit.
Dietrich trying to jump on an early fastball there. Slider hung up enough. He completed the swing, got a piece of it, lobbed it out in the right field. You're going to see a lot of guys being aggressive. We've said that early, but when you have a guy like Syndergaard who has such good put-away stuff, you don't want to get to 2 strikes where he can elevate that fastball, bury that slider in the dirt. Got to attack early, give yourself a chance.
Now Prado was called out on strikes in the first. Syndergaard 3 strikeouts first time through. Prado hits a ground ball. Walker gets one. Cabrera's turn is in time. And Martin Prado bounces into a double play. For Prado, that's the 8th double play that he has rolled into, and that leaves the Marlins.
Well, when you're a guy that makes a lot of contact, the 2-hole hitter, whether it was Yelich, Dietrich, those guys have been getting on a lot, that's going to happen.
Now Yelich takes a strike. When the Marlins got a look at Syndergaard up in New York, he was overpowering. 12 strikeouts in 7 innings, gave up a run. But Miami won that ball game 2-1. Syndergaard did not get a decision. There's the slider. And he threw it again. And Yelich strikes out. Syndergaard with the help of that double play. A quick 3rd inning. Tom Kohler back on the hill with a 1-0 lead. Miami. Sunday, bark at the park. Marlins and Mets. 110 start. Avoderm Natural Pet Foods, Nylabone, and PetSmart bringing that to you. Kids get a pair of Giancarlo Stanton batting gloves as well. And you can run the bases in the Diamond Dash. Aquafina bringing you the Stanton batting gloves. So Bark at the Park, Mets, Marlins, that's a Sunday. As Drupal Cabrera. Tom Kohler misses in with a fastball. Cabrera, 30-year-old Venezuelan, was a Tampa Bay Ray last year. Longtime Cleveland Indian. And a slugging shortstop. With the Indians, his slugging percentage through his 8 years was over 400, 410. And enjoyed a couple of all-star seasons. Does not provide a lot of range, but he's sure of hand, and he does provide pop. His last 2 homers against a couple of pitchers, ordinary average guys. Clayton Kershaw, Steven Strasburg. Right center. And there's the pop, and there it goes. His 5th of the season in a tie game. A run apiece as Drupal Cabrera.
We talked about what a prolific power hitting team this Mets team is. They live and die by the home run. Over 55% of their runs are scored by the long ball. And up and down their lineup, they have guys who can put the ball in the seats, and this guy has been doing it for a while, and he's helped out this ball club in that same manner.
A no-doubter that almost hit Tom Kohler up on the ribbon board above Miami's bullpen. And here is Cespedes. Hit a screaming liner to left for a double back in the first. Kohler with a slider for a strike. There's Drupal Cabrera. And Marcelo Zuna with solo homers. 1-2. That's a liner to center. Zuna picks it up. And Yoenis Cespedes on a 2-for-2 night seems to have snapped out of his 1-for-23.
Well, Cespedes is a very good low ball hitter. Most right-handers like the ball up a little bit, but he's one of those righties who has that swooping swing, that loft in his swing, kind of like a lefty, and he likes the ball down, kind of like Freddie Freeman from the left side. We talked about Ian Kinsler. He likes the ball down as a righty. There are certain righties who like that ball down in the zone, and he's one of them.
Challenge for Kohler here, Preston, is to not let this inning continue to percolate for the Mets. Walker takes a strike.
But I also think he needs to stay aggressive and not be too fine, because you got to remember, this Mets team came into this game only hitting .230 as a team. So you got to make them swing the bats to beat you. Don't be too fine. Don't start walking guys, because that's when they hurt you, I think, when you start giving free passes.
Breaking ball. Kohler wanted it. That's 1-1. It's a good call by Clint Fagan, the home plate umpire. Greg Gibson, Mike Estabrook, Dana DeMuth also on this crew. And a strike. Mets A lot of injury news. One about another starting pitcher, one of their good young pitchers, Zach Wheeler's return has been pushed from June into July after the All-Star break as he recovers from Tommy John surgery. 1-2. Fouled at the plate. Hunter Pence, and we talked about this last night, the hamstring injury is a severe one. Could be out for 8 weeks and may need surgery.
I mentioned last night when I saw him grab low at the knee for that hamstring, those are the ones that seem to be the most, traumatic injury. If it's in the belly, in the middle of the hamstring, those are a little bit easier to deal with. But when you see it in that low part, right at the top of the knee, that's when those are tough injuries.
Cespedes loves that neon. Get the neon sleeves and the gloves going. Walker fouls it off. Neil Walker flied to center back in the first. His father played for the Pirates. He was born and raised around Pittsburgh. He's around a lot of those Pirate legends. And then, of course, was in that Pirate organization a dozen years before the trade. It's in the last year of a 5-year contract. Hit him in the foot. That's the equivalent of taking one for the team. When you know it's coming at your feet and you don't jump, it's a lot like taking a ball off the arm.
We saw that last night from Francisco Cervelli. A breaking ball coming down and in. Tries to take it, doesn't think it's quite going to hit him on the foot. That one caught him on the toe. Last night, Cervelli ended up leaving the game.
That's why they call it a back foot breaking ball. All right, a hit batter, the equivalent of the walk, and you warned against that. And here are the Mets now with runners first and second. The Met fans who always come out strong in Miami, starting to feel some momentum.
And the worst part about that, it was a 1-2 count. You felt like you had the hitter where you wanted him, or at least had him in a situation where you can force him to chase, not give in to him with your pitch. And unfortunately, that ball caught him on the toe.
Now Conforto, he fouls it at the plate. Conforto won for his last 23. He does have 8 home runs and a dozen doubles, coming off a terrific year last year. Conforto slugged .506. And just 174 at bats with the Mets had an impact on that race. 9 homers, 14 doubles. 3 postseason homers. Ground ball, Dietrich out there. Echeverria turn is out there. Miami gets a much needed double play. Cespedes survives at third.
Nice job here. Good job of pitching, getting your ground ball. Dietrich gets to turn, gives a good feed to Echeverria at shortstop, keeps him out of danger with the runner, and Etch with that good strong arm completes the double play. That was needed because they were sitting in a nobody out, men on first and second situation. That's when you need that ground ball.
Now Kohler needs to get Wilmer Flores out. Cespedes 90 feet away. Slider for a strike. Flores was called out on strikes in the second. Tim Tuffle working the lines at third.
Tim Tuffle, one of my dad's ex-teammates. I used to go to the ballpark and see him all the time. What a nice man. Really, really nice man. I don't know how I was a kid running around the ballpark, and it's always neat when they had the big reunion for the Mets last weekend.
I was just about to say, how did that go? That was quite a scene from what I saw on television?
Well, I was working, but I got a chance to talk to my dad, and they were having a great time up there. I could hear my dad smiling through his text, and I sent him a message, say, hey, tell the guys thanks for putting up with me around the locker room, and he sent me a text back. He said, oh, they said you were a great kid, but I have a lot of fond memories. I got Ron Darling in the booth right next to us right here,
That one yanked foul.
I feel like I'm a very, very blessed to be in that unique situation, to feel like I had, kids dream about that, to be able to go to the ballpark and talk to all these different guys that you idolize, and you got their baseball cards, and that was part of my reality as a kid.
That's a pretty cool reality.
It is. It is. I trust me. I don't take it for granted how special it is, and every time I see those guys, I say hi to them and tell them thank you.
2-2 check swing. Did not go. And a full count now to Flores.
Good job holding up on this. This was a good pitch at the bottom of the zone. 2-2 count. Hard to take that pitch.
Cespedes away from third. Kohler with 2 outs, a 3-2. Breaking ball, pulled foul. Of the players that you hung around, who was your favorite? Who gave you the hardest time? Who were you scared of?
You know what? At first I was scared of Dave King because he never really talked much. He was just big old tall man. Frank Howard, when my dad first went there, they called him Hondo. He's 6'8", ex-military guy. When he traveled, he didn't even take luggage on the road. He just had a toothbrush in his pocket. I'm still scared of that man.
Busted bat into right, and the Mets take the lead. And Wilmer Flores delivers.
This is a shame because he did his job, got in on him. Just up enough that he could fight it off, and turn that into a base hit. It's a shame Kohler's got to give up a run on that.
James Loney now. Cespedes a double, single, a run scored. Just like that, Noah Syndergaard's got a 1-run lead. Center field. A shot by Loney. Ozuna picks it up. And the Mets now have 4 hits in the inning.
Breaking ball just stays up. Loney puts a good swing on it, but I still believe that this is the way you have to pitch them. You have to attack them. They came into the game 28th in the major leagues in batting average, 28th in the major leagues in runs scored. They're first in the National League in home runs. So I think the problem that happened here was the hit batsman. When you hit a guy, you kind of put things in motion. I know you got the double play to follow that up, but that pushed Cespedes over to third base, that base on ball. So I think that's really where it came in, but I still think you have to force this team to swing the bats against you.
Rene Rivera's up right now. It's another injury the Mets are going to have to overcome, and that is Travis d'Arnaud's shoulder right now. d'Arnaud having some inflammation in his rotator cuff.
Yeah, that was tough to hear. Nobody likes to hear a player going down, and when you hear him start his rehab, and as soon as he started his rehab, they shut him back down. That lets you know that it's something pretty serious that they got to take a look at. It happens to pitchers all the time. When they start the rehab, as soon as they start throwing, they have to shut him down.
d'Arnaud's offense was a real help last year, even though he played in just 67 games. He had a dozen homers. Slugged .485. Kohler's pitch count has rocketed up with with a 28-pitch inning here in the fourth. Wilmer Flores, James Loney with back-to-back singles. Flores chasing home Cespedes. Dietrich flips and Chavarria gets their inning over, but the Mets scored twice and lead it 2-1. Brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By Checkers. Fast foodies know the deal. And by your South Florida Chevy dealer. Bottom four. 2-1 Mets. AT&T with a high-speed replay. Off an upper 90s fastball, Marcell Ozuna. To left, and watch where that ball went, right into the pool of the Clevelander. It's Ozuna who leads it off against Noah Syndergaard. 2-1 Mets. Slider for a strike.
Yeah, even though the Marlins took 3 out of 4 from the Pirates, that was the first home run for the Fish on the homestand.
Ball and a strike. Ozuna, Giancarlo Stanton, Justin Bour. Bour doubled. That now a key at bat for Syndergaard, getting Jeff Mathis. Runners at the corners and 1 out in the second. Doesn't get the corner on that slider, and it's 2-1.
Ozuna's seeing him very well so far. You know, he's taking that slider so comfortably.
You see Rivera shake his head a couple times. Fastball, it looks like. And it's in.
Good take. They got that pitch earlier against Stanton.
And it's in. Boy, it's everything you want in a starter, right? 6'6", 240, throws 100, downward plane, sharp slider. Golden flowing locks.
Yeah, and a disposition of a rattlesnake with a headache.
His superhero nickname.
Hey, kid, you nailed it. You too.
And that's only the 20th selfie he's taken tonight. 3-2. And Thor strikes out Ozuna. Looks like a 90-mile-an-hour changeup. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
From Key Biscayne, a couple of Marlin fans here. Christine and her daughter Mindy have a unique way to try and get Stanton out of it with community service in mind. Take a look. Well, they're big fans, of course, Superman, Big G, but it's the other side That's interesting. She has written a check there on the right for $1,000. She's ready to write it out to Big G's favorite charity on his next homer tonight, or she said if it's tomorrow, she'll send the check in. $1,000 to his favorite charity. She said to do something fun. Try and get him out of this little slump. How about that? Way to go, Christine.
I like it. That's commitment right there. Great job.
Let's hope she has to give up that check that's clipped to this sign. There's a 1-0 to Stanton. Slider. Oh, wow. The home plate umpire said swing, and Stanton is beside himself. You heard Stanton argue. Let's watch it. Boy. That was not even appealed to first base. Stanton pulls it foul.
Yeah, that's unfortunate when you're struggling. Stanton's trying to get back in the swing of things, and he had a strike called against him his first at bat that was clearly inside. Then you get a check swing where you don't even check as an umpire, and that's all you ask as a player. We can handle it much better when you check at first base.
Here's a 1-2. And Stanton strikes out.
It's a shame, and you got to try to put it out of your mind, but at the same time, you got to find a way to let the umpire know, look, hey, first time up, ball's in, clearly, I checked it out. Second time up, no way I went on that. You can check yourself after the game. Now, if you want to talk to me tomorrow, tell me how you feel about it, fine, but right now, you've got me twice so far.
And Stanton returning into the dugout.
No, and there's no do-overs on those. There's no replay for that. You don't get that back. That's an at-bat that you feel like was taken from you by the umpire.
Here's Bohr. And Syndergaard misses out. Bohr crushed one off the top of the scoreboard in left center field. Cespedes gave chase, but the ball got to the wall before Cespedes did. Boy, he got a slider in.
Why would you try to catch that?
Not sure. That's a great pitch there. Outside part at 99.
I mean, if you like that kind of thing, 99, bottom of the zone, late movement.
If you're into that, swipe right.
Yeah.
Here's the 2-2. And Syndergaard strikes out the side. Mets lead the Marlins 2-1. Bartolo Colon tomorrow night. Justin Nicolino. Always fun to watch Bartolo Colon start. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine get a start at 3:30. South Florida Honda dealers bring you Marlins Live. Jose Fernandez, Matt Harvey scheduled for Sunday. Syndergaard, Granderson, and Cabrera. Kohler gets a strike with a breaking ball. Mets and Marlins meeting for 3. Marlins still have to go to New York 2 more times, and the Mets come back here 2 more times. So plenty of baseball between these 2 teams. That's strike 3 called. Wow.
That boy.
Five strikeouts for Kohler. He's not walked a man, he's hit a batter. And Granderson comes up now. Well, as Preston Wilson has documented, the Mets are a fascinating offensive team right now. Heavy on homers. Not so much little things. Productive outs. Base hits, on base percentage, all of that. But when it comes to homers, they're in. Granderson takes a strike. Asdrubal Cabrera homered to lead off last inning. And then the Mets got 3 singles and a hit batter to get their second run.
And that's what's frustrating as a hitter. When you're Stanton and you see yours didn't get checked, and then that swing is pretty much similar to yours, or that attempt at a swing was similar to yours, and he checks for the third base umpire.
2-1. Look, check swings are not easy to call.
Well, they aren't.
But it always baffles me that they will check on behalf of the pitcher or the catcher, but the hitter never gets a fair shake out of it. Prado and Echeverria. And it's Prado who makes the catch. I mean, the hitter sometimes wants to check, as Stanton would have liked in that, but for whatever reason, hitters don't get a say. Bring your group to Marlins Park, and when you do, there's a lot of cool places to go and a lot of nice ways to get there. Birthdays, networking, family outings. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com/groups today. Here is Cabrera, home run number 5 over the Marlins bullpen in right.
You know, Rich, I saw awareness nights on that. I think I might start my own. I'm going to start turn signal awareness night in South Miami at the ballpark.
Good luck with that. Yelich battling the lights. He's there to make the catch. Top Kohler, a 1-2-3 fifth. Signal, people. Preston's watching. Time now for Rocket Arms, brought to you by Quicken Loans. We were talking about strikeouts per 9 innings. Jose Fernandez on top of the list. Noah Syndergaard right next to him. Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Clayton Kershaw. That's some company, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Those are some big-time arms with really good stuff. And one thing those guys all have in common is good command with that velocity and that good stuff.
Echeverria tries to bunt and missed. Jeff Mathis, and in the pitcher spot with Tom Kohler for Miami in the bottom of the 5th.
Syndergaard realizing everybody's attacking early. That first pitch was a changeup. He knows they're trying to hit that fastball early.
Well, Fangraphs is such a great resource for baseball fans, baseball broadcasters, baseball executives, players. And according to the fine folks at Fangraphs, Syndergaard averages the fastest fastball 98.1, slider 91.6, and changeup 90. So all 3 pitches have the highest velocity of anybody in the game. And Echeverria on the ground to second.
He probably leads the league in expletives by players as they're running down the first base line, too.
That's one of those really advanced metrics that they're still trying to figure out how to use that in the game.
I bet Brian Kenny's got that stat.
Oh, easy there. Easy there, Mr. MLB Network guy.
He keeps every stat, dude. I know he's got it.
Here's Mathis. 99 with that fastball. We talked about those 3 pitches and the extreme velocity on all 3. He used all 3 last inning in that 4th inning.
It's amazing to see a guy with that kind of stuff that has such command of all 3 pitches. He struck out Ozuna on a changeup, struck out Stanton on a slider, then struck out Justin Bour on a fastball. That's the heart of the Marlins' ardor, and he went through it, struck out those 3 guys on 3 different pitches, and they were all equally as nasty.
Mathis, a little pop-up back behind first. Walker, Loney, and Granderson. 2 outs here in the 5th. That brings up Tom Kohler. Colon and Nicolino, 4:10 start tomorrow. Jose Harvey, 1 o'clock start on Sunday. Marlins live a half hour before. 3:30 tomorrow, 12:30 on Sunday. Kohler's bouncer finds Cabrera. And Syndergaard is rolling now. He has retired 9 straight. scores 3 runs. Mets have 2 of the 3. Geico brings you back to 2003. Marlins clobbered the Athletics. Set a club record, 18 hits. D. Lee went 4 for 4. Mike Lowell, bobblehead tomorrow, added 3 hits. Hey, was Frank Menachino wasn't on that team, was he? 2003?
Yeah, he was on the Oakland team. I think he pinch hit that game. Went 0 for 2. Played second base.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you read the box score or you talked to Frankie?
I do my research, Rich. I do my research. So you didn't know I knew that little nugget about that game, did you?
Oh, that's impressive.
Always working, Rich. Always reading, trying to figure it out.
Tom Cole a little late, get back to the mound. He was the last out of the bottom of the 5th. If you're just happening by, there's Frankie, one of the Marlins hitting coaches.
He's one of those guys that was a defensive guy early in his career. He made himself a better hitter. He worked at it, started learning it, and now able to apply that to help these young hitters. Sometimes your best hitting coaches are the guys that had to learn. They struggled early. If you're a hitter and you just know how to hit from the beginning, it's not as easy for you to teach because you don't understand that process sometimes. You don't understand why it's so hard for guys not to just stay back or why guys can't just not swing at that curveball. But you've been through that. You identify with it easy. You empathize with the players more, and it's easier for you to teach it.
Yoenis Cespedes, Neil Walker, Michael Conforto for the Mets, who of course got to the postseason last year. I mean, last year a lot of hurdles. The 1-0. Think about where the Mets had been since 2008. That was their last winning season. They had not been to the postseason since 06. And of course they got over and burst right through those hurdles. That one lined into the seats. And it was Terry Collins' 6th year last year. The Mets, in most of his tenure, had such a dysfunctional roster. Pieces, not enough of this or not enough of that. They won 79 games 2 years ago in 2014. Fastball up. Certainly the Cespedes trade helped fuel the run. In his 57 games as a Met, he slugged .604, 17 homers, 14 doubles. High and deep, and Yelich makes the catch. Greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. All right, Preston Wilson, what do you think of this? The Birds can bash it. Zach Greinke starting to heat up. And how would you like to be Andy Green? You know the Padres had a 12-2 lead in the 6th and lost?
Got to start asking some questions right there. When you have a 12-2 lead in the 6th and you end up losing that game, there's got to be some long looks in the mirror by everybody on that roster about how you got there.
Up the middle, into center, just by the diving Echeverria. Neil Walker has his first hit of the night.
And that roster extends to the coaching staff. That roster extends to the manager. It's not just the guys who are, you know, lacing it up between the lines. Everybody's got to start talking to themselves and try to figure out how you lose a 12-2 lead in the 6th.
Well, look, I mean, some of that has to go on the front office too, right? Even though the owner tore into the players publicly in the last couple of days. All the trades that the Padres made, all the big signings that they made, they sent away a ton of young prospects. Trying to win right away. Speaking of that, the Nationals called up Trey Turner.
Local product.
Yep. Lake Worth, up north of here. And he was one of the top prospects in the Padres. That three-way deal with the Rays. Nationals got Turner and Joe Ross for Steven Souza Jr.
When you look at that trade and you see Joe Ross, his pitching ability, and you see Trey Turner, who looks like he's got a chance to be a stolen base guy in the big leagues. He plays good defense. You don't know what the bat's going to be like yet. I don't think we've seen a big enough sample size, but Joe Ross, my goodness, that kid can pitch.
Ball and a strike to Conforto. But look, the Marlins have been in the same spot as the Padres. Remember the Marlins 2012, where they moved into this new ballpark and had a high payroll. It didn't work. The Marlins painfully went young the next year. The result has been the nucleus of this team. Large trade with the Blue Jays.
I think you have to give the Marlins front office credit for realizing, you know what, the mix that we put together just didn't fit. They weren't the right players for the situation, and even though it was painful to see those guys go, to see the ball club get broken up, but the end result is much better, I think, than what they initially had, what they tried to put together.
1-2. Fastball up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Conforto, a 3-time All-American at Oregon State. Of course, if you follow the Mets, or if you follow baseball, you know that his bloodlines are pretty talented. His mom, a Olympic gold medalist, synchronized swimming. His dad, a linebacker at Penn State. And a guy that didn't last long in the minor leagues, just 133 minor league games. Check swing. Did he go? Nope. And check this out, Preston Wilson. Not this. But he did not swing. Michael Conforto appeared in the Little League World Series, the College World Series, and last year's Major League World Series. Only 2 other players have done that, Ed Vosberg and Jason Varitek.
I watch Conforto, and he may not be a top-tier defender, but I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people were saying he was early on.
Defensively.
There was a lot of talk saying that he was just so terrible out there in left field and subpar, this, that, and the other. Is he great? No. But I don't think he's as bad as the criticism that he received. And let's remember, like you said, this guy is a guy who only spent 133 games in the minor league. So a lot of that time that you spend learning that craft, for most players, is in the minor leagues.
Breaking ball, strike 3 called. The throw is on the money. And a throw him out, double play after the strikeout of Conforto. Jeff Mathis to a Danny Echeverria. That would be the strikeout, and that would be the throw him out. presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Good place for a stroll on South Beach. 2-1. Mets on top. At the top of the order. Third time through against Noah Syndergaard. Derek Dietrich, Martin Prado, Christian Yelich. Dietrich has seen 2 pitches. Takes a breaking ball high. Dietrich flied to left, singled to right. And Dietrich, in a really small sample size, has had the best numbers against Syndergaard in terms of hits and at-bats. Now 3 for 5. That one of the oddities of this start for Syndergaard. His only start against the Marlins was April 12th of this year. That's a pretty good changeup right there.
Yeah, and he threw it off the same line that he threw the pitch before it. So he threw 96 down and away on that same line, and then he threw a changeup off of that same line to Dietrich, and it really folded.
Walker gets the out. Look inside some of the suites here at Marlins Park. Martin Prado has struck out, bounced into a double play. Miami's offense, a Marcell Ozuna solo homer. Justin Bour double and a Derek Dietrich single. Those the only hits off of Noah Syndergaard, whose pitch count is tiny. This is number 68. Fight. 7 strikeouts. Has not walked a hitter. Look at that, a 9-pitch, a 6-pitch, a 9-pitch, a 6-pitch inning. Prado inside outs one into right, and that falls for a hit. And up comes Yelich.
So the difference in this than an out is the ball's up a little bit. Doesn't matter how hard you throw, you give a hitter a chance to loop that ball out over the infield if it's up. If that ball's down, it's a broken bat or maybe even a weak ground ball. That's why they always teach ball down for pitchers.
Syndergaard struck Yelich out on a couple of nasty sliders his last time up.
I know everybody wanted to see the Stanton Syndergaard matchup because of the power and even Ozuna. This is the matchup I was looking for because Yelich has such good pitch recognition against a guy who has 3+ pitches. So that's I wanted to see this play out.
There's the changeup, which darts away, has good run and some fade to it. 2-0. Yelich ended the night last night with a blast to right, banged off the wall and scored Martin Prado, and the Marlins outlasted the Pirates in 12 innings. Two and one. Yelich entering the game at .320, .414 on base, and a slug above 500. And at .509. That's a strike.
Ball's right at the bottom of the zone. Just barely got a piece of the bottom. But I'm still amazed that Yelich is so young and has such great pitch recognition.
Does he throw that slider, which he got him back in the third. Fastball. Yelich stays alive. Toyota brings you an inside look. 24 and under hits. Number of Mike Trout, Manny Machado. There's Bryce Harper. There's Christian Yelich. And Xander Bogaerts.
Well, Bryce Harper's a little different. He's been in the league since, what, he was 19? I think he was 19 when he broke into the league. So he's got a little head start as far as major league service time on some of those guys.
Breaking ball fouled at the plate. Now, I wanted to see if Xander Bogaerts had extended his hit streak. He's 0 for 2 in a ball game in which Toronto leads Boston 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th in Boston, and Boston doesn't have a hit.
Wow, that's doing something.
Yet they have a run. Former Met, of course, with a Noah Syndergaard start. R.A. Dickey is starting and throwing a no-hitter. And there's a run scored. Yelich over the middle, into center field, base hit. Prado turns, bumps into an umpire. Yelich is going to take second, and he does. With a little extra hustle. Well, that worked out well for Miami, except for the collision, or the near collision, of Prado and Mike Estabrook.
Oh, when you get a double like this is a lot of fun. In middle infielder dives, you can't, it's not hard enough to go to the outfielder, and you just keep running and end up into second base. They don't happen often, but when you do, you're smiling because that ball's not supposed to be a double, and that just helped out your slugging percentage.
Now, if the Marlins could pick a hitter to come to the plate in this spot, this is the guy. Ozuna. Infield's back, 1 out. Fastball, a called strike.
That's, I don't know. I want to see that one on Fox Tracks. That looked like it might have been in again. Yep, it was. Off the plate.
0-1. Ozuna, left field, didn't get it all. Conforto at the track. Tagging and scoring is Prado. And this game is 2-2. And that's the guy for Miami over the last 3 weeks that has carried their offense.
I've noticed something interesting about the way they are attacking Ozuna. If you'd seen Ozuna hit the last couple years, maybe in is the book on him, but they're attacking him in and down, and that's in his swing. If you attack Ozuna in middle up, you got a chance to throw that 98 by him, but he can drop the head on 98 down in the zone, and I don't know if I agree with the Mets pitching philosophy as far as how they're trying to attack it.
Stanton now with 2 outs. That fastball in. So Ozuna, a solo homer, now a sac fly. Yelich is still out there. Remember the contentious at bat Stanton had in the 4th. Didn't like a strike call, didn't like the check swing. And a high fastball by him at 97. Ball and a strike.
Take a look at this last one. Really ties him up. Rides up about belt high. I think more than anything, he felt like his front shoulder flew out right there, and that's really what he's been working on. See that little turn right there?
Fastball up, 2-1.
And it's hard to fight your ego when you want to get started because you don't want to get jammed. But also Stanton's got to understand he's so strong that a jam shot is a base hit for him. He can throw that over the infield, and that's going to be an RBI. But if you pull off of it, you're not going to hit it at all.
2-2. Well, the progress last night, a couple walks and an RBI double, a line drive to right. Barry Bonds talked to us last night during the game about the process.
Yeah, but it's not easy when you got a guy throwing 100. You know, we talk about it, sounds easier, but when you got 100 with a 90 miles an hour slider, that changes the game because you want to get the bat head there and you're trying to figure it out. So this is a different animal from most pitchers when you're talking about working on things and trying to make sure that you're, you know, sound as far as your approach, technically, mechanically. Sometimes you just got to try to hit the ball when you got a guy like this. A lot of stuff goes out the window with 193 miles an hour slider.
There's the slider, and he struck him out for the second time. But Miami has tied the game. Marcell Ozuna, sacrifice fly, and it's 2-2 headed to the 7th. Into the 7th, into a suite. You can go there for just one game. Suites can accommodate groups from 16 to 60 and offer VIP service and feature exquisite food and beverage options. Book the Marlins suite today, 1-877-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com/suites. Look at that, Preston. We could be watching a game from the comfort of a air-conditioned suite with fabulous food and beverage options. Now our spot up here is nice. We don't have all those food and beverage options or all that many friends.
This is true. We are in our own little bubble up here, Rich.
Yeah, find the sign.
Here we are up there. Yes. Got a couple people around us, but
does not look nearly as much fun as one of those suites, though. I mean, look at. I mean, okay, here it's the broadcast.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, Chimmy's paid to be here. That's first thing.
That's John Chimchuk, our baseball historian. But they have more friends and more fun, it seems, in a suite. Wilmer Flores, James Loney, and Rene Rivera. And Tom Kohler walks Wilmer Flores. Mike Dunn's in the pen and ready. You can hear that little beeping noise. And that is the other end of that phone. And the question is he ready? 105 pitches for Kohler. Loney popped out, singled. Marlins have just tied the game. Mets scored twice in the fourth as Dribble Cabrera homered and a Wilmer Flores RBI hit. There's your Mets box score. 7 hits for New York and 5 for Miami, and Don Mattingly is on his way out. I think he wanted 3 or 4, maybe 5 more throws for Dunn in the bullpen. That's why that sequence of phone call down, see if he was ready, throw to first, and that buys time for the lefty Dunn. West Kendall Toyota, call to the bullpen. And Mike Dunn enters from Miami's bullpen. 2-2 ball game. James Loney, Mets first baseman, just acquired from the Padres organization, was in AAA, and of course Dunn straining that forearm in spring training, finally back in the pen. Mets have Rene Rivera and then Noah Syndergaard after Loney. So the job here for Dunn is to keep it at 2-2. Loney to right. It's well hit and it's deep. Stanton back and it's gone. And with one pitch, James Loney reclaims the lead for the Mets. And that's not what Don Mattingly had in mind. Loney doesn't hit many homers, but that's a big one. That's the 100th of his career. And that ignites the Met fans here in Miami. Wow. Well, we told you the Mets score their runs with the long ball, and 3 of their 4 runs tonight have come by home run. Loney last year hit just 4 homers with Tampa Bay. And that will endear him to his new teammates for sure. As we told you, number 100. This is season number 11. One and two.
It's a great spot, bottom of the zone.
Dunn gets the strikeout, and that's the first out of the 7th.
Well, even Noah Syndergaard gets in on this long ball action for the Mets. This is in LA off Maeda. Went deep, right center. And he wasn't done yet. That was the first one. He hit another one that night.
There's a liner into right field. That's a base hit. Stanton over to get it. Syndergaard to first, and that's it. And so a base hit here with one out.
There's the aforementioned second one, and this one was a big fly. Straightaway center field. Jock Peterson loses his hat. And as everybody knows, in Dodger Stadium, that's not the easiest place to leave the yard, and Noah Syndergaard did it twice off of Maeda.
And not easy at night, especially. Now Granderson with Syndergaard the runner at first, and one out. 2 runs here in the 7th on a James Loney home run. To center. Ozuna in to make the catch. Well, the Marlins have been looking for an effective lefty in the pen. Mike Dunn's not necessarily a matchup lefty.
So, and he is coming back off the DL recently. He's had a couple tough outings, but he has been dependable for the Marlins over the last few years.
Now it's Drupal Cabrera, the switch hitting shortstop. Two Met starters sitting side by side. 0-2. Tom Kohler started the inning, a walk to Wilmer Flores on 4 pitches. Mike Dunn was loosening up the pen. Marlins bought him a little time to make sure he had enough to go. And the first pitch he threw, James Loney blasted up into the upper deck. Dunn strikes out Cabrera, but the damage is done. The Mets strike for 2 more, and yeah, another long ball. Phillies heads to the tricky triangle at Pocono. Martin Truex Jr. looks to defend his title from last year. It all starts on Sunday, 11:30 Eastern, only on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Preston, I think you'd look right at home in the M&M's car.
Is it filled with M&Ms as I'm driving it?
No, I think that would be along the lines of the restrictor plate, not up to NASCAR code. Well, as hard as the Marlins work to tie the ball game, James Loney with that easy swing makes it 4-2. And here is Syndergaard back out to face Justin Bour, Danny Echeverria, and Jeff Mathis in the 7th. Bour right back to the mound. And the first out of the 7th. Marlins pen in action. Cody Hall on the right. David Phelps on the left. 86 pitches for Noah Syndergaard. And he's been terrific as he's looking for win number 6. 8 strikeouts for Syndergaard. 2 runs on 5 hits. Echeverria reached on an error and bounced out to second. Liner to right. And that's a base hit.
Well struck is what Etch has been working on, getting back to that right center, right field swing. Good balance, good extension through that ball. Nice piece of hitting. Had a rough start to the year, but he's starting to pick it back up. Came into this game at about 250. Things are looking up.
Ichiro will hit now. Mitch Penny presents Ichiro, who enjoyed his night last night. It was fun to hear and see comments from Clint Hurdle talking about watching Ichiro play, how much he enjoyed it. And it just brought a smile to his face. Ichiro takes a strike. Ichiro 2 hits last night. 2 for 5 night, made 2 really nice catches in center. Stole a base, his 501st career stolen base. .96 on the fastball. And Syndergaard's out front 0-2. So Real Muto on deck. Ichiro hitting here. Echeverria the runner at first. Mets bullpen is active. Little tapper up the line, and it's a foul ball. All right, you want to see some Ichiro in center field? Now this was with the bags loaded, 2 outs. And this was Jung Ho Kang going 408 feet. He won 10 consecutive Gold Gloves. Slowly hit out towards second, out there. And that's it. Ichiro across first. And that'll get Real Muto in at bat with 2 outs. Real Muto now into the 9 spot. And obviously with Mathis leaving for Ichiro, Real Muto will stay in the ball game. JT 0 for 3 last night with a sacrifice fly. And had 4 hits earlier in that Pittsburgh series. Pirates tonight are losing to the Angels 7-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. That was a Francisco Liriano start. Andrew McCutchen is in the lineup. Remember, he left last night with that sore thumb. Ichiro runs, and the throw down to second, not nearly in time. Why not take the bag?
It's a great play. Edge actually bluffed on one when he was on first, but when you got a guy who's giving you this much time to get there, you take that bag. Now a single can score you. It's a good baseball play.
It is the one Achilles for Noah Syndergaard, and that is the stolen base. Runners this year are 16 of 19 against him. Breaking ball is out to Real Muto. That's 3-1. And you can see the stolen base by opposing runners, 16 of 19. And in his career, this is year 2 for Syndergaard, 31 of 34. So something to watch. Ichiro in scoring position. Real Muto gets a 3-1 to look at. And 99 still sizzling on pitch number 97.
Yeah, I mean, it's 97, but look at the spot. It's the location, and you add that with the velocity. That's almost an unhittable pitch.
Three-2. Did not offer. And Real Muto's on his way to first, and that gets an at-bat to Derek Dietrich.
Good job laying off of that. Good at bat.
Dan Worthen, Mets pitching coach, on his way out. Jim Henderson, Jerry Blevins in the Mets pen with our old friend Ricky Bonas out there as the bullpen coach. Noah Syndergaard about to crack 100 pitches. Derek Dietrich has had some big hits for the Marlins and has played quite well in place of the suspended D. Gordon. Dietrich 1 for 3. Got speed at second with Ichiro, and Real Muto runs well, and he's not being held at first by Loney, but he's got to respect Rivera's arm. Ichiro runs, pitch in the dirt, and it's a double steal. Real Muto heads up, just followed Ichiro. An impossible pitch to throw on for Rivera, but I don't know that they get either guy anyways. Look at the jump here.
Well, I think both guys got a great jump, and you got to remember, Dietrich in his first 2 at bats swung at the first 2 pitches. He started to bunt his last time up, and it was an off-speed pitch. So you know Syndergaard more than likely is going to try to start Dietrich off with something off-speed. That's great baseball intelligence by Ichiro, and good job by Real Muto following him up.
Fastball, and Dietrich went after it. Ball and a strike. 3 homers, 10 doubles. His slugging percentage close to .500. Rivera wants it up. Dietrich busts his bat, and the business end of the bat goes one way, the ball goes the other way, and it's still spinning. Be careful with that. James Loney.
Yeah, this thing is absolutely disintegrated in Dietrich's hands.
So a new bat, but a 1-2 count. .101 pitches. Syndergaard trying to finish off the 7th. Tying runs in scoring position. It's in. It's 2-2 as he hits 100 on the radar gun on the scoreboard. Triple digits. That's brought out a lot of oohs and ahs from our gun. 99 is the top end speed. And he hasn't let up from the very start. 2-2 coming to Dietrich. Foul tip. He's still alive.
Hey, tried to get that slider, didn't quite break. Dietrich was able to get a piece of it. Rene Rivera couldn't quite hold on to it, and when you're a hitter, you feel like you got away with a run right there because you didn't make that great of a pass at it. You foul tipped it, and now you got another breath of life.
Realmuto at second, he throws at third. See Rivera clenching that fist. 2-2 in the dirt, and Rivera very confidently backhanded that ball and kept Ichiro at third.
Well, he's known for his defense. That's what bought his meal ticket. He's a great defensive catcher.
Well, does Syndergaard give in and throw a fastball here?
I don't think so. Dietrich has hit the ball decent against him. I think he tries to stay soft. I mean, when you got 100 in your pocket, though, the fastball is always an option. But I would say he'd stay soft. I'd look for the slider. No, he looks like he's going fastball up here.
Good job by Dietrich to stay in the at-bat here. Because, I mean, Syndergaard smells the finish line. This is his last inning.
Yeah, he does.
And he knows he's got a 2-run lead. And it's just empty the gas tank right now.
And the reason it's so hard to guess with a guy like that, because he's got such good stuff. You can't eliminate a pitch. There's some guys where you can say there's no way he's going to throw me this changeup right here. With Syndergaard, his stuff is so good you can't do that.
8th pitch of the at-bat. Tying runs in scoring position. Bottom 7, 2 outs. Got him. Slider. Noah Syndergaard strikes out Derek Dietrich. Miami leaves the tying runs in scoring position to the 8th, 4-2 Mets.
Game always fun to run into. Former Marlin friend Alex Arias is here, part of the Burger and Beer Night promotion, helping out the Marlins and representing the ball club. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Craig, man. It's nice to be here today.
Alex was one of 2 original Marlins with that other guy in Conine to win the World Series. The first one, that's it, only 2.
Yeah, we're the fortunate 2 that were left from that inaugural season. So I guess we're blessed and be able to get that opportunity to get that ring, considering we were here for 5 years. So it was pretty nice, you know, being here in 93 and staying here through the duration of 1997 and being able to win that.
A 320 career pinch hitter. It's amazing. You saw Ichiro with his pinch hit at bat there, and going up against Syndergaard's real tough. What's your take on that?
Man, I can't believe he's still playing. I don't know how old is he, 42?
42.
He's 42 and he's stealing bases, but yeah. I played with him and the guy's always stretching. He's got a masseuse, he's got all kinds of stuff. So the guy has longevity, so he's taking care of his body pretty well.
It was a good at bat by Dietrich. I know he didn't get a hit, winds up going off speed on him, but that was a good at bat, I thought.
Well, yeah, actually, I know Dietrich. He actually played in the Dominican Winter League, and I actually coach for him. So he's a really hard-nosed guy. He plays hard, and he comes ready to play every day.
Good touching base with you, Alex.
Likewise, man. Take care of yourself.
Right, Marlins world champion from '97, Alex Arias, played with 5 major league teams, guys. Back to you. 5 years here with the Fish.
All right, thank you, Craig. Cody Hall makes his Marlins debut, and Yoenis Cespedes looks at a fastball for a strike. Hall, who was just called up by the Marlins, claimed off waivers from Arizona in mid-May, was in AAA in Arizona's system, appeared in 7 games with the Giants last year. He made 4 appearances in New Orleans, didn't give up a run in 3 1/3 innings. The Marlins have really had to shuffle the deck to try to find arms and find guys that can get outs in the middle of that bullpen. Hall misses up. Cespedes, Walker, Conforto. Tom Kohler started 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts. Mike Dunn's first pitch was hit for a 2-run homer. James Loney. An inning for Dunn. He was charged with only 1 of those runs and the 2 hits. Mets bullpen active now, which means Syndergaard is done. 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts for Syndergaard. His ERA sits at 1.91. Hall misses in. 19th round pick of the Giants in 2011. Cespedes hanging in there. Cespedes lives in Boca, not Del Boca Vista, but Boca Raton. I don't think Keith Hernandez is working tonight, but he would appreciate that Seinfeld salute. 2-2. It's in. Double and a single, and it looks like Cespedes is pulling out of his slump. A 1 for 23 coming in. Realmuto is behind the plate, and Cespedes strikes out. So first hitter for Cody Hall as a Marlin is a strikeout.
We mentioned earlier how Cespedes likes the ball down in his zone. This is one of those high fastballs, belt high, maybe a little higher, that he has a little bit more trouble with.
By the way, R.A. Dickey has given up a hit. He's given up 2 hits. And a strike to Walker. Dickey and Syndergaard, of course, involved in that trade between the Mets and the Blue Jays. Toronto is beating Boston in that game 5-1, top 8. And Dickey has given way to Jason Grilli, who was just acquired by the Blue Jays.
Well, it was just a night ago he came in and pitched a scoreless 7th inning. Oh, there's Keith Hernandez there with the bobblehead museum.
He's got that perfect stash, doesn't he?
He's always had a great mustache, man.
Every time I see him like that, I want to see Clyde Frazier next to him. In a Just for Men commercial. Counts 2-1. Mets trying to weather the injury storm. David Wright out for it sounds like is at least 2 months. And the herniated disc in his neck. Lucas Duda, stress fracture in his back, and Duda's replacement, James Loney, has a big swing tonight. The 2-run homer that greeted Mike Dunn turned this game from a 2-2 tie to a 4-2 Mets lead.
And you can see why the Marlins like the arm of Cody Hall. 93, 94 miles an hour fastball we've seen so far tonight. Good changeup. He threw a couple good ones to Cespedes. Also has a slider. That last pitch was a slider.
Busted the bat. Dietrich makes the play. And Hall has 2 outs here in the 8th. The Sky Parade telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Except those watching on AFN. You guys can do whatever you feel like.
Agreed.
For all that you do, you can disseminate, you can rebroadcast. Knock yourself out. Glad you're with us tonight. We're in Miami, Marlins Park, with the roof shut and the windows closed, the AC blowing. The Mets are in town. Mets, of course, had that great year last year. Got to the World Series, lost to the Royals. Both these teams chasing the Nationals in the National League East. Fastball is down low. Nationals, by the way, losing tonight 6-1 to Cincinnati. Brandon Finnegan, the lefty for the Reds, having a good night. That's in the bottom of the 7th.
And if any of you guys are watching out there from the UAE, Qatar, or Oman, I had a great time with you guys out there a couple years ago and hope to see you again soon.
That's right. I remember seeing the pictures of you out there. There's a 1-1. What was your favorite part of that tour of the troops?
The favorite part wasn't necessarily a place. It was just talking to the people there, whether it be servicemen or women, and just realizing that how much they give up to be away from home to help protect us. They're basically living in cities by themselves on those bases. Sometimes they're stuck on those bases for a while. And we brought a little bit of piece of home to them, going to visit them, but we enjoyed. We got so much from them, being able to share our time with them as well.
2-1 to Conforto. What did you do on the base?
Oh, we did everything. We saw some of the intramural teams. They had the softball teams, and we hung out with the bomb disposal, EOD, explosive ordnance disposal. Man, I got to sit in a couple. I got to sit in a C3, C5. I'm sorry. It was a lot of fun. I'm very big into the pilot thing, so being able to be around the jets and all of that, it was quite an experience for me.
To right, it's hooked and foul. Some Giants fan out there is probably saying, why is he talking about the Jets?
It was just an unbelievable experience to see, the Patriot missiles, to realize those things come out of the tube already at the speed of sound. Like, so many little things you learn. It's just, you don't understand the capabilities and the technology that our military has, but when you do see it and you see the time that our servicemen and women put into it, it makes you appreciate them more.
2-2 pitch. And Conforto takes out. So those of you on AFN, American Forces Network, watching tonight, whether you're a Marlins fan, a Mets fan, or just jonesing for a little baseball back home. (3-2) Michael Conforto. That is strike 3 called. To the bottom of the 8th in Miami. Marlins get a taste of the Mets bullpen. Martin Prado, Christian Yelich, and Marcell Ozuna. You can follow the Marlins, the Mets, or your favorite Major League team. Just go to MLB.com and download At Bat. Stay up to the moment with this app. Get you game day, live game video highlights. StatCast is cool. News and more. Download MLB.com At Bat. #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. Yoenis Cespedes finds himself in left. And the former Gold Glover, Juan Lagares, is out in center. And Addison Reed, who's been absolutely nails. Best arm out of the pen, most say, for the Mets. 13 consecutive scoreless appearances. Prado. Reed's fastball. Letter high strike. Addison Reed doesn't waste a lot of time.
No, he does not.
Bounces it up there. San Diego State University. That's where Addison Reed went to school. 27, teammate of Steven Strasburg. Played for Tony Gwynn, the late Tony Gwynn. Led the nation in saves. That is a strike. And Martin Prado strikes out for the second time tonight.
Well, the velocity may not be as high as Familia, but he looks like he's really tough to pick up with the way he slings it. It's a funky motion, a little bit herky-jerky. And he's one of those guys that their 93 can look like 97, 98.
Reed went from the White Sox to Arizona. Did not have the best run with the Diamondbacks. And the Mets got him last year, and all of a sudden he dialed it in. A 1.17 ERA in 17 appearances. He was nice down the stretch for them. Yelich 1 for 3.
You know, when I look at Reed, it's such a short delivery. There's not a whole lot of motion before his arm is out and ready to throw. I think that could give a lot of hitters trouble, because when you're trying to time a guy, you get something to get your rhythm off of, to get your.
Yelich finds the line. Remember that Cespedes in left, and he's got the great arm.
He did a great job getting that ball quickly as well. This is just getting the bat on it, finding a hole. Shot it down there down the third base line. They were shading him that way. Cespedes got to it extremely quickly. Held that to a single. But what I was saying about Reed was his motion so short and quick that you actually have to start your motion quicker than you normally would against other guys, because he just gets it, and as soon as he moves, it's like the arm is there.
Here's Ozuna. He's been Miami's best offensive player tonight. Solo homer in the second. Drove a sacrifice fly to the warning track in the sixth. Yelich not a big lead. And Reed gets a strike.
Yeah, there's very little leg kick. His knee barely comes up. It's so quick. It's such a short, quick motion.
In his second year in the White Sox organization, he was already in the big leagues.
Wow, yeah, he's leaning forward. As soon as he picks up, his body's going forward. Somehow is able to get his arm out. A lot of pitchers, they'll be late with their arm if their body's going forward that quickly.
Struck him out. Ozuna certainly didn't have a lot of success picking him up.
It's got to be really hard facing him for the first time, or if you haven't faced him in a while, because you definitely have to remind yourself to get your setup done quicker, because the ball's going to be on top of you.
And that, of course, had been a problem for Giancarlo Stanton in his prolonged slump. So this is a real challenge for Stanton, this right-hander.
That's nasty. That's another component added into the whole equation.
Catches a corner. Ball and a strike. Yelich the runner at first. That pitch out, we talked about Reed. 13 consecutive scoreless appearances. Stanton with a swing and a miss. And it's 2-2. Reed has allowed all of one home run. This is his 27th appearance. He struck him out. Ozuna and Stanton and Prado all caught looking at Addison Reed. Is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Dodge, visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today, and by your South Florida Honda dealers. Well, the pitching for the Mets has been the difference in this one. First Noah Syndergaard, and then Addison Reed. Top of the ninth, Mets. Wilmer Flores against Cody Hall, making his Marlins debut. Smoke to left. Yelich will play it off the wall. And Wilmer Flores has a 2-for-3 night.
First pitch fastball hitting. Wilmer Flores can hit the fastball. And he gives a rather rude greeting to Cody Hall for his first at bat against him.
Now James Loney, who changed the game with one swing. Mike Dunn came in the 7th after Flores had walked. Last guy that Kohler faced. And Loney homered to right on Dunn's first pitch. Knocked it off the facing of the second deck. Known for more of a line drive swing and a terrific glove at first. That's the calling card of James Loney. In the absence of Lucas Duda, the Mets are hoping he'll play great defense and give them some offense. Loney to center, hit well. Ozuna at the track hauls it in. Wilmer Flores tags and proceeds to third. Man, Loney crushed that one.
Yeah, he did. Nice swing on that ball. He's not swinging a bat like a guy who came into the game hitting 111. Here's your look at the swing. Oh yeah, nice swing, good balance. Hit down on the contact point. That's exactly how you work on it.
His 11th year in the big leagues. Infield in. Rene Rivera's up. Rivera getting the start behind the plate. Kevin Plawecki the other catcher for the Mets. By the way, last night's hero out of the pen was Nick Whitgren. Whitgren, with 3 perfect innings, got his first major league win. His college catcher at Purdue. Plawecki. So a nice reunion here for this weekend series with those 2 guys, a couple of Boilermakers. All misses up. Jury's Familia, who has yet to blow a save this year, getting loose for the Mets. Left field and deep. Yelich back. That is gone. Way gone. These New York Mets hit a lot of home runs. They lead the National League. That is their 3rd tonight. And 5 of their 6 runs have come via the long ball. My goodness.
Well, the Mets came out and they were swinging the bat well this inning. Flores laced one. Loney just missed one to center. And Rene Rivera, well, he did not miss this one at all. This ball was a home run off the bat, well deep off that back wall behind the outfield wall.
Here's Lagares, who came in that double switch. First at bat for Lagares. So the Marlins bullpen has surrendered 2 2-run homers. 1 to Rene Rivera and 1 to James Loney. 3 more homers tonight for the Mets. Right center field. Stanton there, and he makes the catch. Jury's Familia sits down. No longer a save situation. And Jim Henderson. Gets loose. Henderson having a solid year. Paul gets strike 1 to Curtis Granderson. "11 games this year, the Mets have hit 3 or more homers. This is the 11th. That's 76 home runs already. This is game number 53.
When you look in the middle, Cespedes 37. Walker came in the game with 25. Conforto 24. Those are the RBIs, but they're hitting from some serious power.
Paul gets a strikeout, inning over, another 2-run homer. And a 2-run lead now sits at 4 for the Mets. in Miami. Checkers post-game show coming up. Mets go deep 3 times. We'll have clubhouse reactions, Don Mattingly's press conference. It's brought to you by Checkers. It's coming up right after the game. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. This would be Jim Henderson. 6'5" Canadian, was 33. Shoulder surgery at the end of 2014. Certainly affected his 2015. Henderson. Long road to the big leagues. Finally spent his first full season in 13 as a Brewer. Justin Bour takes a strike. So it's Henderson. The Marlins would love to be able to force Terry Collins to put Jeurys Familia in the game. You never know, that could affect the rest of the series. But Henderson started out 1 and 2 on Bour. Pitcher spot for Miami is due up 3rd this inning. Echeverria is next. Bour lifts that one left center. Lagares and Cespedes, and it's Cespedes who makes the catch. Well, for the Marlins, first it was Noah Syndergaard. 7 impressive innings, 9 punch-outs. As impressive as that was, Addison Reed's 8th inning was even more so. He struck out 3. And here's Echeverria, the only guy that Syndergaard did not strike out. Echeverria 1 for 3.
Now, I think it should be noted that another good start for Marlins starting pitcher tonight. Tom Kohler put in a good effort. Got his team to the 7th inning.
One of his runs came on the James Loney 2-run homer, which was off of Mike Dunn. Kohler charged with 3. He reversed the walk issues that he'd had lately. What was it, 19 walks in 4 starts?
Yes.
Just 1 tonight. Echeverria fouls it back. It doesn't get much easier for Miami with Matt Harvey finishing the series. Jose and Harvey, that'll be fun on Sunday. Tomorrow, Bartolo Colon and Justin Nicolino go. Sharp slider by Henderson. There is Colon. He's 4 and 3 and his earned run average at 3.39. And you better be ready to swing.
Oh, it's strikes, and it's constant strikes coming from him. He's a strike throwing machine.
The 3-2. Center field. Lagares squares up and makes the catch. Marlins will pull the trigger on a pinch hitter here. Chris Johnson gets the at bat. Yeah, Colon throws so many strikes that I think the stat of the night tomorrow will be Colon against Ichiro. So well over 100 at bats and
almost 100 years.
Well, almost 100 years, but the age of the two guys. 106 at bats. And Ichiro 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, and that's the ball game. The Mets take game one. Jim Henderson finishes